So, Valentine's Day, it's sometimes it could be seen as like an overrated sort of a thing. And, I've decided with my girlfriend that we decided to do something different for it. We're both major dorks, and I made a joke to her. I made it a passing joke. It's like, hey, we could always go see Sonic the Hedgehog. That's coming out on Valentine's Day. And it turns out she decided to call me out on my bullshit, and there it was. So we ended up seeing Sonic the Hedgehog on Valentine's Day. So romantic to see a blue hedgehog making wisecracks and Jim Carrey trying to Jim Carrey the Dr. Robotnik character.
That sounds lovely. My Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
I was buying my wife some roses. Me and my wife started dating on February 12th. So we do it.
So wait a minute. You just started dating like 7 days ago, and then you got married and celebrated Valentine's Day on the 14th?
Yes.
All right, got it.
Yes. So we always do Valentine's Day on that day. But so I always do something stupid and small on Valentine's Day. I was going to buy her roses. And cliche bullshit. I was like, you know what? This is stupid. You could buy
go see Sonic.
You could buy a dozen tacos at Taco Bell. So I got her a box of a dozen tacos.
You see, that's great.
And then I went to Target and topped it off with sparkling grape juice, and I put a bow on it.
That's
Valentine's
brilliant.
Day.
That's unconventional.
Hashtag can't eat roses.
No, you can't. Well,
That's,
you could, I guess, but do you really want to?
It's frowned upon.
But food is the ultimate key to happiness. Ergo,
Yeah. Never want a grumpy, hungry lady friend.
keep her on her toes. It keeps it fresh. Keeps it different.
But now you've set a standard. Like it's going to be a dozen churros next year, or a dozen.
Let future Justin worry about that.
Yeah,
And
that's
you
true.
get a baker's dozen Paul's Donuts.
Ooh. See? That's solid.
The difference is I feel like you could plow through a dozen Taco Bell tacos. I feel like you get through like 3 Paula's Donuts and die.
3 bites of a Paul's
Yeah,
Donut.
just dead.
All right, here we are. Another episode 716 Sports Podcast. We are -1 Jeff Boyd, but we are +1 Derek Kramer.
What's up? I'm back.
Mike Babcock's here, so is Steve Burble. And myself, Justin.
I'm here physically.
And Mike's here. Mike's
I feel like
here.
you just said something, so you're definitely here vocally now, too.
Yep.
I guess that is a good point.
Welcome to the party.
We had a
Thank you.
show.
Glad to be here.
We had a show full of interviews last week, and Mike was here.
You guys did a really great job with those interviews, too. It was a fantastic
It was fun.
show. And now the Sabres haven't lost since you guys had Marty on the show. So
We got a lot of
And Saturday, just pointing that out, we filmed a session with Corey Small, and he was the best offensive player on the floor. The 716 podcast effect is real. When we've had Bandits on Monday, that Saturday, they show out. It has been it's like the reverse of the Madden curse.
Then we do the game day segments. They have games too.
Yeah.
Chase had a game,
Mm-hmm.
and then even Hollywood the first time we did it.
Yep.
716 Sports Podcast Karma is a thing.
you got a Midas touch, guys.
Yeah.
Glad to be a part of it.
I mean, Steve was literally out there showing Smallsy some tips, so maybe they took him.
So the most subtle line in the whole video, I'm sorry to put us on this tangent, but right before we broke from sitting between the posts, I was like, I think you can watch what I do and maybe, take a few points away from it. He goes, are you kidding me? He just says, and he laughed right afterward. But when I watched it back, it was so good. He's like, are you kidding me? It was just perfect because he was not at all uptight about it. It was awesome. So anyways, if you haven't caught that, find our Twitter at 716 Sport Podcast and look for the Between Two posts with Corey Small, or check it out on Facebook. We have almost 1,000 views on the video on Facebook. So head to Bandits Mafia on Facebook or head to 716 Sports Podcast on Facebook and you will find
It is pinned.
I mean, remember how I describe it. It's the entertainment you didn't know you want, but now you need.
Yeah. Yep.
So lots of things happening. You mentioned Sabres going on a 3-game win streak since we have Marty on. They're looking much different. You inject Olofsson
game.
back in the lineup, and all of a sudden it pushes Skater down and pushes Johansson down and pushes a bunch of players down where they shouldn't be. They shouldn't have been up. And now it's a more balanced lineup. They're more effective. Olofsson's looking really good. Eichel again. They haven't skipped a beat. They look better actually.
Yeah, but can I amend what you said. You're pushing VC and Girgensons
That's what I
down.
meant, yeah.
The guys that they're slotting in
Yeah.
to the first line that should not be there. And spare me the, I get what Girgensons is doing there. He's there to win some board. Spare me. Give me a guy that can put the puck in the net, and look what happens. Crazy when you give
Not to
Jack a
mention-
guy that can snipe corners.
Not to mention you're suddenly getting goals from the power play again.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. So the Toronto game, that was a riot. And actually, with the trade deadline coming, you mentioned Jimmy Vesey's name. I've got an interesting little thought on that when we brush up more on the trade deadline. Here's your little cliffhanger.
So let's talk about the 3 games. Toronto, Columbus. Excuse me, I'm still
Other Detroit.
the Detroit game. Yeah,
Did I have the order right there?
I think I reversed it. Right, it was
Yeah.
most recently was Toronto yesterday.
Yep.
We record on Monday nights. Previously was Columbus on Thursday, and then before that was Detroit. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah, we got
We
there.
did it.
Yeah.
We did it.
There
We,
we go.
we didn't even need to look it up. We were
And just
fine.
and they,
The Detroit game. The Detroit game. They were trailing 2-0. Is that it? Why am I drawing blanks? Correct me. I'm wrong.
I think that was the shootout loss when they were trailing 2-0.
no, one of these games they were trailing
they were
2-0.
losing 2-0 to the Blue Jackets.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's
Blue
right.
Jackets.
Yeah.
And they were
Yes.
down early 1 to Detroit, like right away.
Yes, it was
Like
30
17
seconds in,
Yeah.
and then a minute 3 in, Sherry ties it up,
Yep.
and then Detroit took the lead. Buffalo tied it again, and then within the first minute of the third period, that was Reinhardt's goal.
Yep.
I know this. Funny how things come back.
I was
to you when
working
you work.
Tuesday. That's why none of it's ringing a bell.
I was working the
Yeah.
game, so that's
No.
why it's ringing a
Yeah,
bell.
none of it rings a bell because I didn't watch it. That's
and,
why.
and you know that Ducks game that Sunday, how much better of his position are we in right now if they're able to pull that out? If Ryan Miller doesn't stand on his head in the third period,
And if Johansson makes
And
an
if you-
early save
And
Yeah.
because
and
he
if you
got
lucky
lit up and then
breaks, too.
absolutely dialed in
just one's this
after
one
that
of those
one
pucks.
penalty shot.
After the penalty shot save, he just was on the rest of the game.
Oh my gosh, he was good.
And Miller, and I mean, the Sabres had some really bad puck luck. How many shots went off the post and crossbar? Like 3 or 4 in the third period?
Yeah.
I mean, that could have easily been just an inch down, an inch inside. That could easily be a 6-3 win.
As the Mighty Ducks taught us, though, 2 or 3 inches the other way, and you missed the net entirely.
That is true.
That's what Coach Bombay was told.
Beautiful.
Nice segue.
The beautiful game.
I
That a
found
segue?
myself extremely into the Blue Jackets game. Once, as Razor said at the start of the second period that Tortorella really ripped into the team, I found myself super into it for some reason. Like, yeah, it's ruined their fucking days. Ruined all their day. And I was like, my heart, I had my heart was like pounding in my chest feeling. I haven't had that in forever. And I was super into the game. Then they went to overtime, and dude, I was so amped, and I haven't felt that way about a Sabres game in such a long time. And then obviously I didn't get to watch the game last night. I had a hockey game of my own. But they've beat 2 pretty strong teams, and beat the Leafs in a pretty, dominating way yesterday.
Hilariously dominant.
Yeah.
I mean, what was
3
it?
goals in a minute 31 was the fastest 3 since 2002 with Brian Holzinger involved.
And
No, I'm sorry.
Verrata.
Sorry, 22 years. So 2002 is wrong. So it was the fastest 3 goals the Sabres had scored in 22 years involving Verrata, Holzinger, and someone else. The names were
That's
awesome.
19
It was probably
98.
Barnaby.
It might have
for
been.
all we know.
Yeah, it was something like that, though. 3 goals in 91 seconds. By the third goal, RJ, his goal call on the VC goal was, and they've scored again. That was all he had. Like, he had nothing in, probably nothing left in the tank after the Eichel and Oposo goals. But when VC scored, RJ's like, and another one.
And another one.
DJ
And
Khaled.
another one. He just counts it. And, but that play too, Ristolainen makes a beautiful pass right in front of the goaltender. And
filthy.
Jimmy Vesey's just like, hey, I'm left-handed.
It was a 2-foot birdie putt.
That was filthy.
It was all of those goals were beautiful, but at the same time, even before that stretch, the puck dominance was there.
Yeah.
And you're thinking to yourself, okay, they're out shooting Toronto to holy hell, and it's tied at 2. Is this that peak Sabres game that they're going to lose like that, where next thing you know, it's a bad Carter Hutton game? And it turns out no, because Hutton did make some beautiful saves in the second period in particular, and then next thing you know, that penalty call, and the Sabres just go. And
Some of those penalties were pretty chintzy. Leafs fans were unhappy, and I think rightfully
First
so.
off, if I'm a Leafs fan, I'm more pissed off about how badly my team crapped the bed after 2 periods.
Yeah.
I mean,
but they did play the night before. It's the typical, like, road game back-to-back.
But Freddie Anderson kept them in the game. It should have been 3-0.
But that hook that Dermott got called for, his stick was on the ice.
Yeah.
He tied up Risto's stick in front of the net, and Risto went to skate away, and Dermott's stick kind of tied up Risto's legs and his stick. But Dermott had both hands on his stick, and his stick was supplanted on the ice.
That's a hook.
And as Risto tried to get away, it was really chintzy. Like,
I didn't see it.
it was by no means did Dermott tie up Risto's hands. He did not have
But
the
if you
stick.
take a player's stick and hook it to the ice like that, it's considered a hook.
But it was, you have to see it because Risto was kind of boxing him out. It was right in front of Carter Hutton, and Risto was kind of boxing out Dermott and tying him up in the same way. Like it was I'm not letting you get a stick on a rebound if there is one. And Risto like turn and skate away, and in doing so, his stick kind of got pushed up against his own leg and he stumbled. It like maybe by the letter of the law, it's a chintzy call because it was basically just Dermott trying to stay strong on the crease and be a presence.
Got 2 points.
I'm not complaining, but it's
it wasn't just 2 points. That was
about 7 in the standings.
it felt like 14 points. Why?
Yeah.
Because Maple Leafs fans showed up more than usual for this one, and next thing you know, you were sending all of them home very pissed, and it was just one of those. You dominated from start to finish, had the puck the entire time.
held them to 22 shots.
Held them to 22 shots. I think they had 22 shots like 8 minutes into the second period.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yep.
That it was just a pure dominance.
As we say on the court, clamp up.
And
it was dominance, and you see how sorry the Leafs defense is.
Oh, terrible.
And you think to yourself, they may not be playing Boston again this year, but they're going to get out in the first round again.
they've got a lot of talent, but they're not a good team.
It's a top-heavy talent, though.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy to say, like, for Buffalo, it's probably in the same boat, but people know who Kyle Oposo is. People know who Jimmy Vesey is. Like, I'm talking NHL fans from other cities. They're saying, I play fantasy hockey once in a while. There are names on the Toronto Leafs roster that I don't know. Like, they are on both their bottom 6 forwards and their bottom 4 defensemen. I don't know who these guys are.
Dude, Cody Ceci gets minutes on that team.
Right, and he should get minutes
Some
nowhere.
of that's injuries and circumstance, but Cody Ceci gets minutes on this team.
The only thing you need to know is that Sandin is better than Dolly.
Correct, especially when Oposo chips the puck right
Don't
around
forget.
him. And he gets turnstiled
Least time
and cooked by a 30-something-year-old Kyle Oposo. That's great. Hey, Derek, you said you worked the game. I have a very important question for you.
Okay.
What did Austin Matthews do on Sunday?
He got 0 points.
Yeah.
And
what was his puck presence like?
Again, he was not it seems like oftentimes when they play the Sabres, Austin Matthews either shows up and it's just like flat out like Rochambeau, Jack Eichel, shot for shot.
Game, yeah.
Yeah. And then on the other side of it, he flat out disappears. And you've never seen Eichel disappear against the Leafs.
Yeah, what did he do yesterday?
He only got the game-winning goal on a beautiful shot.
But Matthews, sorry to interrupt you, go ahead.
No, it's just like Austin Matthews, I don't get, like, okay, I get it. It's homerism, that's why. But for people to actually be able to say with a clear conscience, Eichel can't carry Matthews' jock.
Oh, fuck off.
It's not even. No.
It's got to be the dumbest thing I've ever seen. It's blatant homerism, so I get it. You know, fans are often blinded to their own team's perspectives. But if someone says that and they're serious, I'm sorry, buddy, but I'm not going to take you seriously there.
So look at Eichel. When you talk about Matthews, you see Matthews show up 1 or 2 times a game in a big way. He makes a few big plays.
I feel like Matthews is just the center version of Jeff Skinner. He scores goals.
Yeah, but Eichel totally will just flip a switch and take over a game. I've never seen Matthews do that.
They were talking on the broadcast that Matthews doesn't like to bring the puck to the neutral zone.
I've never seen him do that, ever. Jack Eichel and Matthews, you can say Matthews has more points, Matthews has more production, whatever. But he has a lot more talent around him. He's got a second line on his team.
He could spot up.
He's got very talented wingers on his wings. Jack Eichel's doing it by himself, brother. He's like, and he will take over a game. He'll back down an entire defense in the neutral zone. He is very good.
I feel like there's been a game this year where the Sabres scored 4 goals and he had all of them.
Yeah.
The Ottawa game.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I think Eichel is the MVP of the Sabres. I don't think Matthews is MVP of the Leafs.
So then the Leafs fans are sure to chime in on Twitter, and there's a tweet from yesterday. It said Jack Eichel's a sorry excuse of a hockey player. A quarter of the players Matthews is. Never mind.
Wow.
Wait a minute. Never mind these childish things he does. What a loser. And I replied and said, childish things you say? And linked to the story of Austin Matthews mooning. Listen, I don't have an issue. If Matthews had a few drinks and mooned somebody, his underwear were on, I'm not saying throw the book at him, but that is the definition of a childish prank.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So, yeah, Eichel might have told the Leafs fans to stay seated, which was epic, by the way. Absolutely epic.
Yeah.
But to act like your guy is the model citizen while our guy is a turd, listen, I'm not saying what Eichel did wasn't childish, but you can't call the kettle black.
I'm not saying that was childish at all.
Amazing. You guys feel
It was awesome.
It's also the fact that Eichel, it seems that there's this, as miserable as this season has been, he manages to show the joy when he puts the puck in the net. Because rarely when he scores, it's rarely in a blowout situation. They usually matter. Almost all of them.
How many game winners does he have this year? I mean, I don't even know.
He's got 8.
So 8 out of
I knew it was
33.
incredible.
Yeah.
He's been fantastic.
That's 25% of his goals have been game winners.
Draisaitl is the only one with more. I think he has 10. So I'm in, like, Jack Eichel, he has been able to still, despite this season and its frustrations, showcase that he's having fun. You know, the Sellies are hard. They're going. And he wants to get the crowd, the people that are actually there to cheer on the Sabres, if they do happen to show up. You know, like, kudos to him. He wants to get these guys going.
Yeah.
He knows that he appreciates them that are still showing up right now. And the apathy is there, and I get it. But if you're still showing up to the games, that means you care. And guess what? He wants you on your feet.
Yeah, he's he's very committed. He's, a super competitive. He's a leader. And he's not going to go any. People, obviously, for the right reasons, fear is going to ask for a trade out of frustration. But this guy is
the way he celebrates
dedicated.
goals on this team, he's not going anywhere.
I saw that celebration yesterday, and I was like, I tweeted it. I said, he ain't going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere.
Nowhere.
We're good.
There's no reason to worry.
We talk about another player of late that I'm personally really happy for, because Sabres goaltenders have just constantly gotten a bad rap in this town. Good to see Carter Hutton. I won't even say turning it around. I mean, he has, because he struggled, but I mean, he hadn't won a game since October 22nd, and now I think he's won 5 out of 6.
Not to mention now he's getting goal support that he wasn't getting during that losing streak.
And defenders yesterday soaking shots for him, and like just really, he was very sharp yesterday. He had to make a lot of really good saves, but there also were a lot of situations where good shots didn't get to the net because Risto blocked it, or Colin Miller blocked it, or Jake McKay blocked one off his right knee. I mean, guys were really soaking shots for him, and whatever kind of bug was in his helmet or whatever was going on, it seems to be behind him, which is excellent because, with Allmark out, he was kind of the guy carrying all the water. It's good to see. And Justin, you kind of talked to Marty about it a little bit. How much of that you think is attributed to him having to be this guy now? Because not only, it's the tyranny of the urgent that they need him to be good, and they need him to be good now, because without him, they're sunk. And he seems to have answered the bell.
Yeah, it's so good to see that he's willing to put the team on his back like that. And you can see he's learned to deal with the frustrations better. You know how last year you kind of saw a lot of the frustration on the ice, and you see the broken stick this year, but that's a different kind of frustration. I think last year is kind of childish frustrations on the ice, and this year it's like, I really care a lot, and I see a big difference in his maturity.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's funny what the difference a week makes, by the way, because
are we talking about Hutton or Eichel?
The Sabres, just like the different tone of everything right now, because you see how they've strung 3 wins together, and they can put a 4-game win streak together for the first time all year against Ottawa. And then if that happens...
Careful on that one, though.
I know, they lost their last 2 to them, which is bizarre in itself. But yeah, please don't lose the season series to Ottawa, guys. Come on. But it's just funny what a week does for you, because a week ago, we're looking at this team. They've lost 3 of their last 4, and you're not really taking them seriously anymore. And yeah, it was feel good that Ryan Miller got a win in Buffalo, so I guess that softens the blow. But you're looking at a team and you're thinking, you're not saying the words, oh, they're 8 points out of the playoff spot. This could be interesting. at a week ago, I think we're all signed off, especially the Colorado game. And you're looking at a different perspective entirely.
What you put a stat out, Justin, that to get to 98 points, they needed to finish the season 19-5.
It's a few days ago, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So now it's 17-5. Is that right?
I believe
or
so.
18-5, regardless.
Yeah.
And listen, I would give a finger for this team to make the playoffs, and I'm not kidding. Because
which one would you pick?
I don't care. I don't care. Let's do some saw shit in here right now because I would do it. But when you look at it from that perspective, yeah, a lot of things could change, and 8 points out feels doable. But when you realize that, 98 points, which is not even a lot of points, 98 is still 34 points away or 36 points away with 23 games left. They need to go on a tear. They need to win 12 of their next 15, and then we're talking about a home stretch that matters. And this schedule does them no favors. At Pittsburgh, home to Winnipeg, at Colorado, at Vegas, at Arizona. None of those games are quote-unquote easy, but the Sabres tend to play better. The Sabres have played great in Pittsburgh every time they've gone down there lately. They've beaten Pittsburgh without Eichel in Pittsburgh recently because
3 years ago, you couldn't buy a win in Pittsburgh.
No.
And all these games, too, without their starting goaltender.
Yes. And the other thing that stinks for them, what the schedule doesn't afford them, is games against the team they're trying to catch.
Yeah.
They are done against
They had
Toronto.
those, yes. They had those games. And
They're almost done
unfortunately-
with the games against the division. They've only got 5 left.
But like Boston is not a team they're going to catch. Maybe Carolina's in the conversation wild card wise. The Rangers and the Islanders. Rangers are irrelevant in the race. Florida, but there's just so few games left against the teams they're trying to catch.
It's funny. We talked
got to earn it.
We talked to Marty last week about how Marty said himself, you're probably out of the wild card race, and you really try to catch a team in your divisions. They seem to be after these 3 wins. They seem to be right back in the wild card race. Like
it's funny what a
Toronto
week
has
does.
70. Florida has 71. I think.
I think both the wild cards are at 70.
Yeah, they're wild card not at 70. Toronto's at 70. They're in third. Florida is out of it
that's
at
all right.
68.
72, 71. And Columbus is such a weird team. They could fall out of it at any time.
And didn't Buffalo have 81 points last year?
12 overtime losses for Columbus? Jesus.
Yeah.
So they're ready. Buffalo is going to, in theory, I think someone said on the radio today that they're like 4 wins away from tying last year's win point total or something. So they're going to improve from last year, which is what most of us would have expected. Of course, the 11-game win streak or whatever, the tear that they went
the
on
tenor.
changed the thoughts, everyone's expectations. But
And Toronto is an injury away from collapsing. Freddie
They're
Anderson,
already-
Anderson goes down, they're toasted. He goes down.
they
for
did
even a couple
already, and
games.
they got Campbell. I mean, Campbell played well for them.
He's a
But
career backup. Come on.
I agree. I'm not saying
Honestly, they're a top 6 forward injury away from just collapsing.
Yeah.
crumbling.
Because their defense is already banged up and terrible. So I think that would probably be it. I mean, the Morgan Riley injury has really done them in.
Speaking of injuries, how many times have we seen the Sabres get beaten and battered this year, and then they fall apart, and we turn into total fatalists, and then guys start coming back and they get better. Happened earlier in the year. A bunch of guys were down, and they came back and they got good again, and a bunch of guys went down again, and they were really shitty again. Lost to Detroit a couple times, and now Skinner's back, Olofsson's back, Okposo's back. Johansson's back, and now they're like these guys are
They're
pretty
playing well.
good again.
They're
Like,
playing well.
3 games in a row.
And this is something that turns into an interesting conversation. The deadline's a week away. What do they do?
And it's even tougher with this win yesterday. So if they lose yesterday, they're essentially out of it because they're trying to catch Toronto. That was like one of those 4-point games.
Yep.
And they won it, and they won it in a demanding fashion. So now they're right back in it, in my opinion. Like, so what do? Do you buy? Or do you prepare for next year?
Seems like, and this is kind of what they're doing, and I'm seeing some moves that they're doing right now, and it's like my eyebrow is raised. Let's say that. Because look at what has happened. Other than Zach Bogosian saying, no, I don't want to go to Rochester.
We do need to cover that too. So
I've got a fun theory on that. You ready?
Drop it.
Zach Bogosian did not report to Rochester on purpose for the sake of the team. He has decided to help them out by not reporting, ergo removing his entire cap hit from the team for not reporting. He is taking the bullet knowing that that's going to happen. In exchange, the Sabres are going to do everything that they can to move his not cap hit by the deadline. It's not a cap hit right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. You can trade for him, and it doesn't hit anything.
It could be, because it seems like a totally random move.
So,
The timing of it's really weird.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
This seems like this is a bullshit theory. I'm just spitting here. Zach Bogosian is doing this as a favor for the Sabres, who are then going to attempt to move him through no cap hit, which other teams would be more than okay with, I think. But then again, he was waived, and that gigantic cap hit's there. Nobody's picking him up on that.
Yeah.
Since that is now currently removed, it makes him a lot easier to acquire, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And the thing, it's dumb. I said in our Slack chat earlier, how dumb would he be to not go play a few weeks in Rochester and finish up making $5 million this year?
And that's where I think he's doing him a solid. And in return, they're going to try to do it for him too.
So the Sabres have currently 45 out of 50 allotted contracts. They are using all 23 roster spots. Cap Friendly has them listed. Deadline cap space. Do you know what it is? $7.7 million.
Wow.
Go. And you know what that does? Flexibility. You could start moving money out, and salary retention could be an interesting little thing to play in for any potential deals.
Yeah.
The Sabres winning does not help this argument I'm about to make. But they signed Tyler Lyer today to an NHL contract.
Right, didn't bring him up, though. They're leaving him in Roch.
They didn't bring him up, but that contract now allows for another player to move up,
Yes.
be it Lyer or Asplund or somebody. They are going to be a player that gets moved up. Why? Jimmy Vesey's hot. He's got an expiring contract. He has 4 points in his last 5 games. What is the foolery that's going on right now at the trade deadline? Salary retention on Jimmy Vesey's contract? You might land a second rounder.
Mm-hmm.
Not kidding.
Yeah.
The way that Toffoli is getting a nice haul for the Kings, or what we saw with Blake
See what
Coleman.
Zucker got? Oh
Zucker got it.
God.
Zucker got a haul.
And
I
these
think he's
guys
not good.
and these guys are middle six forwards.
He's
Jimmy
gonna be
Vesey
very
is a
good with
middle
Crosby.
six forward.
Yeah.
The Sabres could get themselves a decent pick in return for Jimmy Vesey. Something that if you said that at the beginning or midway point of this year, you might have got slapped.
But if you're trading VC for just a second round pick, are you sending a message you're not going for a playoff run?
Yep.
But it's easier.
That could
I
be the
think-
first in the
Yeah.
list of dominoes to fall. That would be because he would also be opening up at least some sale. So he's 2.25 or 2.5 is
Yeah.
his cap hit. So with the amount of games left, you're looking at like 800K. You're allowed to retain half of that.
Yeah.
So
And that allows, because how tight are these teams in the salary cap right now?
a
That's
lot
the
are
biggest thing.
right there. Then again, teams still fucking find ways to do it because Tampa Bay got Blake Coleman and
Yeah.
Vancouver got Tyler Toffoli
And
today.
one more year on that deal with Coleman.
People, you find ways to do it. It happens all the time. Pittsburgh every year is a buyer at the deadline. Pittsburgh
And why-
brings in Jason Zucker.
And that's why
It's doable. It's
that's
always
why,
doable.
That's why that 7.7 is now huge
Yes.
for this team. Jonathan Marchessault, that's the name that was brought up. First off, I am giddy over that rumor. Jonathan Marchessault, if you can land him on this team, he could play center. He could play your wing. It does not matter.
And
He
it's
has got-
funny. What does Vegas need in exchange for him?
Colin
All right.
Miller.
Yeah.
Colin Miller.
They need defense.
Right-handed shot defense. Oh man, didn't you have one of those that you gave up?
Why don't we upgrade your ticket to this slightly, or should I say, no, not slightly used, very much used Rasmus Ristolainen. And then you can go ahead and give us Jonathan Marchessault, please. Oh my!
I'm still on the
And doesn't
do not
he still
trade
have
Risto
Turlock?
train, but
Look, if it lands you Jonathan Marchessault, you could just shut the hell
yeah,
up.
that's right. But
Yeah, that's a haul right there.
it's a haul. But I just like then who's going to fill
He's
that
got
role?
he's got term. He has got the top 6 capabilities. He's a winger for you. He's a winger or a center to give you for Jeff Skinner.
I don't know if Marshall's going to
Shit.
play center. When did he
has.
last play center though? With Florida.
He last played center with Florida.
And in Florida, he was a 30-goal scorer, but like 25 of them were the power
I don't
play.
want
Not
no
that
more.
I'm,
I don't care.
Listen, I like
don't care.
Marchessault, but
I don't care.
I don't want no more of this center winger bullshit. I want a fucking pure
bona fide.
He's
I don't want them as Marcus
He's not.
Johansson.
He's not Marcus Johansson.
He can play left wing, right wing, defense, goalie.
He can do it.
Fucking,
Marchessault has done it for longer, and he was naturally selected as a center.
The Sabres have announced that
Johansson
Linus
will not.
Hallmark has returned to the active roster, playing second line center between Jeff Skinner and Jimmy Vesey.
Somehow it works.
noted left fielder Marcus Johansson. Like center tonight.
So
Trey White.
Marchessault's
Plays
a little
everything.
different in that, and I think that again, I am over the moon. I might just start coming up with a list of things that I will do if they get Jonathan Marchessault.
I don't want them to trade for a rental.
He's not
They
a
can-
rental.
I know.
though. He's got.
I know. I'm just
he's
saying
got
in general.
4 years on
Yes.
term
If
and
they-
a really good cap hit, and it's just please just do it.
The reason the cap hit is so friendly is because he was not good 5-on-5. He was a goal scorer that Florida didn't want to have to pay, but he was the power play specialist for Florida. He's very good in Vegas, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, he is.
But that's why they got him on such a good deal.
Yeah.
He didn't have the
It just-
all-around game that would get him the $8
I
million
think
a
if
year.
they want to be a buyer, I want them to trade next year's one.
They're not going to.
I am so on board
This
with
is
that.
where
No.
Marchessault becomes interesting, because Marchessault to me looks like a certain deal that was made last year near the deadline. Brandon Montour. That was not a buyer's move. It was
Because he was hurt.
It wasn't
correct?
even. No, it was the fact that
Didn't they trade
wanted-
for him when he was injured?
No.
He came here and got injured.
Yeah.
He came here, got injured, but it was more so they wanted a piece that they could move forward with. Jonathan Marchessault would be a piece you move forward with. You've got things to play with, like all those defensemen. You may even be able to throw a D prospect in there for Vegas.
I think a player trade to make the
Will
team better.
Borgen, Jacob Bryson,
Montour.
Matthias Samuelson.
You can trade Montour and effectively not hurt this team. You can got Pilot down there who could come in right away. He shows, and he's got the RFA protection, so he's got more value to him.
Yeah.
I don't think he's been that great for us.
I think that
I think he's a nice player.
term is
He's not a
important.
bad player.
Term is important for this kind of a deal. Why? You get control of them. You get to dictate what you do with them and make the decisions. Kind of what Buffalo did with Brandon Montour. He's an RFA at the end of the year. They still have control of him. Lawrence Pilot would be huge for Vegas. Rasmus Ristolainen has term. Jake McCabe has another year on his contract, but I think scouts have eyeballs.
You hope?
Total shot. at
No,
Jake.
I hope they don't.
Yeah,
I hope they don't.
I agree. I'm not a fan of McCabe.
But term matters here. That's why Coleman got them a first for New Jersey. Because there's another year of control.
Yeah.
So Pilot's an interesting name. I'm not going to shut that notion down. Good God. But I think, though, that this team, the cap flexibility that they have is not for acquisitions more so than it can be for departures and getting something for the likes of Connor Sherry or Jimmy Vesey, because they're hot right now.
I think a player you're bound to see traded is Connor Sheary. I think is a good player that a playoff team is going to want.
Got cups.
He goes 110%.
Everybody wants him because of the cups.
I think you for sure
got
see him
speed.
traded for a third, second round pick.
What do you? So I want to backtrack, Justin, to your last point because you said
I was gonna come
we've
back
talked
to it,
about
yeah.
the first round pick.
I want to see them if they want to buy. I want to see them trade their next year's one, and then with no condition on it, just better themselves. I think they could be a playoff team next year.
Yeah.
I don't think they're that far off.
They're not that far off.
I think I want them to trade next year's one with no conditions, take it better themselves. I think you can bring in a nice player that can help us right away.
I was gonna say, what do you think the value is on that?
I think it's a top 6.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, Paul Gaustad got a first round pick at one point.
Don't let your
Especially
dreams
if
be
it's-
dreams.
Especially if it's a team that thinks, oh, yeah, they're going to suck again next year, but this could be a lottery pick for
Yep.
us.
Yeah, it's very simple to manipulate this. It's very simple to be able to land something like that, and you have pieces that you can play with. Still, Lawrence Pilot is an interesting piece. Matthias Samuelson is a prospect that scouts tend to love.
I would rather
Ryan
trade
Johnson.
Montour than
Ryan Johnson
Pilot.
is a-
I think
is-
Pilot's got a higher ceiling
I think
than
that's right.
Montour.
Yeah, and there's really
And
there's
Pilot's a lefty, which they don't have a lot of right now.
Yeah.
there's
That's
a
also
there's a
part of it.
lot to see here and a lot to play with, and I think that part of this is going to be they can get themselves even more cap flexibility if Connor Sherry is dealt.
Can we talk about one of the trades they have made and how I'm getting angry about it?
Yeah.
The Frolik deal.
You're just now getting angry? I was mad they made the fucking trade.
Yeah, but at the time, it was. I think Jeff's words ring in our heads like they brought in a forward.
forward.
They translated a defense to a defender to a forward, not directly,
forward.
but they brought in a forward. And Frolik's making what over $4 million. He is a free agent at the end of this year, so I guess that doesn't hurt you. But like, What are we doing? Like what is he doing? I understand he's a good penalty killer. I have to give credit where it's due. I understand he's a good penalty killer, but I'd like to think for $4.1 million you could find a guy that might score.
I feel like it was a good idea. You know,
it was a change of scenery trade. He scored 20 goals with Chicago. He showed, prowess previously, but
yeah, and it just backfired. That's all. I mean, you got rid of. It did have a benefit where you got rid of one piece of the logjam at defense. You could have probably gotten something better for Marco Scandella if you just traded him near now at the deadline. But you know what? They were trying to do something and have a benefit for it. Release a little bit of the logjam going on in the back end. You know what? And Colin Miller plays more because of it. Look at that.
Yeah, that's a plus.
That's a plus. You got back Colin Miller, essentially.
So the other thing that we have going on right now, Justin was very, very vocal in our group chat about how badly he wants the Sabres to trade for Vincent Trocheck. He said all the chips are down.
Can I say
he said
why
all the money.
Is that name being floated out
I
there?
don't get it. It's a team that they're chasing in a playoff run.
They're 2 points out of the Atlantic spot, number 3.
He's got 5 years left on his deal. No, sorry, not
He's
2 more years.
He's a solid second line scorer.
But this is the kind of player the Sabres always bring in. A guy that had a decent year, got paid, stinks, and needs a change of scenery. And then, God forbid, analytically, he's grown out a spreadsheet, but he's not doing shit on the ice.
I was talking to,
but this year he's been fine again.
I was talking to my friend Taylor. I'm like,
He's got 9 goals.
Is he the
He's
second
got 9
line,
goals, but
is he the
he's
second line center that they need though? I agree with you, Justin. I want the bona fide second line center.
He's a facilitator.
Is that what he is? Is he a bona fide second line center?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
He's a steady second line center. I would say the answer is, if you ask me, is he a second line center? I say yes.
I'm not trading for 2 years of $5 million for him when I got Dylan Cousins waiting in the wings and Casey Middlestat.
First off, don't do with Cousins that you did with Middlestat. Get Vincent Trocheck then.
Well, they've already not done with Cousins what they did with Middlestat because they didn't bring Cousins in right away.
True. Well, yeah. Middlestat.
My line
first year was at Wisconsin.
My line was always that he was in
not Wisconsin, Minnesota. Stupid.
That he was in high school and then was playing in the NHL. It feels like
the trade I want to see him make. Darren Dreger brought it up on the Instigators. A player like Sam Bennett. He mentioned him specifically. Change the scenery.
Hey, did you know that I played daily fantasy?
I did.
Hey, did you know that Justin wants the Sabres to trade for Sam Bennett?
I don't know how long this door show. I've been talking about the Sabres trading for Sam Bennett for like a 2 seasons now.
Easily. Since I started coming on the podcast 2 years ago, Justin has been pounding that drum.
He's a solid winger to play with Jack Eichel. He's got the speed. He's got skill.
I would rather punch myself in the balls than have them acquire Sam Bennett.
I'd love to see you do it. Do it right now.
We have video content for when the Sabres trade for Sam Bennett.
I get a slow motion vid.
If they trade for Sam Bennett, I will let Justin. I will let
Corey
you punch
Small.
me in the balls. Okay,
we'll get Corey Small to take a nutshell.
We've got it. I'm shaking on this right now. If the Sabres acquire Sam Bennett, I'm going to let Justin punch me in the balls.
I'll give you a little flick.
No. We shook on punch.
The tip.
Not the flick. The flick sucks.
A flick of the tip.
Fuck the flick.
It's a little too intimate too. I feel like.
It's too concentrated.
Wow, did we just wow. Talk about degradation in a matter of no time. Wow.
Anyways, I was listening to that interview.
This is a family podcast.
No, it's not.
Never has been.
We have somebody keeping a fuck counter for us.
Yeah. Shout out Andy.
When I heard that on the interview, you could believe the smile on my face. I felt so vindicated. It's like, yeah, get him, Dregs.
No. That's Sam Bennett.
Change.
You did definitely just say they always trade for a guy that needs a change of scenery.
I did just say that.
And he's literally that.
Hey, let's trade for Sam Bennett. He might benefit from a change of scenery.
I didn't say he would benefit from it.
No, you just want him on this team because you like him.
Yeah.
What?
Wait, wasn't he drafted in 2014 with
Reinhardt?
Yeah.
It was
He was
Ekblad. It was Ekblad.
Wanted him.
It was Ekblad, Sam, and Sam. It was Ekblad,
Sam and Sam. Samson and Samuel.
Correct.
And then Ehlers and
then Draisaitl became the best of the
Nikolai Ehlers, you mean?
Yeah, Ehlers.
You said Ehlers. I was confusing him with Lars Eller.
Nikolaj.
Nikolai Ehlers.
He was part of that.
Nikolaj.
Draft too, I think.
Nikolaj.
He was 5th overall, I think. Yeah, it was.
The definition of insanity. Let's go get Sam Bennett.
How about Olofsson? Man, come right back in. Did you listen to Spittin' Chicklets, Eichel on it?
Yes.
Did you hear what he said?
I have my thoughts on it.
I got a quote. I think I might have got rid of it. He said, I was telling my dad before the season started this guy could pot 40 with his eyes closed. I'm just saying that for a while now.
No, we were all wrong. Sorry, Ekblad, Reinhardt,
Yeah, Ekblad, Reinhardt, Bennett.
Draisaitl, Bennett.
Draisaitl, Bennett.
And then Ehlers.
No,
No?
Michael Del Cole,
Oh, shit.
Oh, the Islanders screwed that up so bad.
Jake Virtanen,
Never mind. They're a little off
Hayden
the hook.
Fleury,
Oh my God.
William Nylander,
Oh, okay. There you go.
Nikolai Ehlers.
Okay.
So Toronto and Winnipeg kind of looked out.
Looking at the rest of the draft, at 15, Detroit takes.
Dylan Larkin there?
Correct.
Yep.
At 18, Minnesota takes.
Was that Alex Tuck?
Correct. At 19, Tampa Bay takes.
That was not Vasilevsky, was it?
Tony DeAngelo.
Oh.
It's convenient because DeAngelo's having a great year with the Rangers.
He was part of the
Pittsburgh. All these guys are on new teams now. Schmaltz in Chicago, Fabry in St. Louis, Kapanen in Pittsburgh. They're all new teams.
That's right. D'Angelo was part of the McDonough deal.
25, Boston takes.
That was not Charlie McAvoy. That was Pasternak.
Correct. And at 28, the Islanders take. This is an interesting one.
The Islanders.
This is fun.
This isn't Barzal.
What's that dude's name? The guy we're 66.
Hosang.
Correct.
Oh, that's right. Josh
Hosang.
That the head case.
First pick of the Sabres in the second round.
Yep. Thanks. That's Brendan Lemieux.
Correct.
Garbage.
What a coward that guy is.
He's
Holy
garbage.
shit.
He only wishes he was what his dad was.
Number 7.
First, what? Go ahead. Sorry.
Number 7, 2019, Sabres took Dylan Cousins.
Yeah. Who'd the Sabres take first in round 3? Sorry, this is relevant.
First in round three. Cliff Poop.
Nope.
Damn it.
I don't know.
61st overall, their first pick of the third round, and it's relevant.
Jake Bryson.
It's relevant to the Sabres right now.
Relevant. I thought Cliff Poop because ergo Jeff Skinner.
No, it's more directly relevant than that. Current player on the roster.
It's going to burn my
Asplund.
brain.
Really?
Hang
Wow.
on. I'm thinking. I am thinking. I'm just saying words right now.
I love stuff like this. I really do.
I hate this
What
right
can I
now.
think right now?
This is figuratively killing me.
Hmm.
Who is it? Third round pick.
61st overall, the Sabres' third round pick in 2014 was goaltender Jonas Johansson.
Oh
shit.
my God, that's right.
Wow.
Never would have. I was thinking
No,
skaters.
I would have never gotten that because I forgot that Tim Murray, for the most part, has drafted like butt, and Johansson actually makes the NHL. Look at that.
In round 7, first pick by the Buffalo
Victor
Sabres, Victor Olofsson. That's correct. Okay, I'm done playing. Sorry.
Then there was the 2015 second round where that was all sorts of garbage and dick kicking by Tim Murray's draft acumen. Thanks.
He's mad about
dickhead.
that. I don't know. Whoa.
So we took.
I almost have. There's two people that I tend to hate in Bills and Sabres coach / GM lore. For the Bills, it's Rex Ryan. Go eat a dog biscuit, you jackass. Never come back into this city ever again. And for Tim Murray, I wish that he steps on a Lego every day of his goddamn life because
Interesting.
of what he has done to the Sabres.
Interesting.
After the
Greatest
tank.
form of torture I've heard in a while.
All right, you did Cousins.
You may have
Well,
set me off.
I wanted to talk about Cousins because we talked about it a moment ago. Does another year in the WHL do him any good? Because he's dominating. He's dominated the past 2 seasons.
Yeah, that's why it doesn't.
42 games, 72 points. He's got 32 goals. He had a hat trick the other day. Lights out.
Also, apparently lost a few teeth.
How old is? What's the age limit there? 20? Is he eligible anymore for the season?
I think he's 19. He would be able to play as a
turned
20-year-old.
19.
Yeah. I think he would be able to play as a 20-year-old based on when his birthday was,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's going to happen.
Is he eligible to go to Rochester next year?
Sure, it's just entry-level contract you're burning now.
He would be because of the fact that he's already played now 4 years in the WHL.
But
So-
the one was 3 games.
I think, though, he should be able to get through.
I don't know the rules. I'm not sure.
Me neither, but
I don't think it makes sense.
the only reason he's not in Rochester right now, I think, is they don't want to burn a year of the entry level. Like, the goal for Cousins is to get him into the NHL when he's ready
He's probably going to end up showing up for the playoffs for Rochester if that,
I think that's right.
if that rolls the right way.
I think that's right, and I hope that he gets his 9 games this year.
I think he for sure gets 9 games this year. They might need him.
That's true.
They might need
If they
Dion.
make deals, yeah. If they make certain deals. I don't know if he gets his 9 games this year. He might get like 3 or 4.
I think
we
he
have
gets
nothing to
a
lose by giving him a look. That's my point.
Oh yeah, but I think like he could sit. I could see him getting 3 or 4, but not 9.
He'd be a nice plug in the lineup.
Because
Sure.
honestly, I think that
He
Lethbridge
looks-
can make a nice little run toward the Memorial Cup.
Yeah, he looked so good this year in the preseason. Like
He did. He looked like he belonged.
dominant.
He looked like he belonged
Yeah.
in the NHL rink
just the way
because he's such a big kid.
the way he backed down the neutral zone. He was so fast. I didn't know he was so. I was pissed at drafted him. I didn't know anything about him though. I just never heard of his name before that. And then I watched the play. I was like, ooh, I like.
I don't remember who was talking about him. It was either like Elliot Friedman, Drager, one of them, and they said there's guys who skate fast and they're really smooth with it, and there's guys like Eichel. 3 strides, he's gone, and it's really pretty smooth. And Matt Barzal actually complimented Eichel last week and said he's the best skater in the NHL. But
Such an awkward
Matt Barzal,
skater.
who won the fastest
He's
skater.
yeah.
But anyways, he said then there's guys who are quick, like Nathan McKinnon, who just chew the ice up. Like their feet are moving everywhere, and like there's just chunks of ice flying. And he said that's how Cousins is.
And
Cousins
then
is
there's Connor McDavid with 1 stride gone.
Yeah, well, he's out of it.
The elite acceleration.
But Cousins is apparently a guy that just chews up the ice with speed, but just like a locomotive.
McDavid reminds me of Stevie Weeks. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Mystery Alaska.
Nope.
I've never seen Mystery Alaska.
It's been so long since I've
It's
seen
been
it, I
a
don't
while
remember.
for me. I wouldn't have thought of that right away.
Gotta see the Weeks kids just skate in the river.
So to answer your question, I don't want another year in Lethbridge because I feel like it's a waste. Especially you keep saying that this team is close.
I think if eligible, he starts next year in Rochester.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best.
Yeah, that's
move.
ideal.
I mean, you don't want him pulling a stupid move like McDavid did in Erie in his last year of juniors and try to throw a punch at somebody and hit the glass instead of the person.
Yeah, I remember that now that you say that. But I just don't know. What does he stand to gain by spending another year in Lethbridge?
That's the
nothing.
thing. Nothing, in my opinion. Like
And that's why I think it's...
time to burn the time to sign with him.
You're not burning the... You're not burning the
He signed
ELC.
it, yeah.
He signed it,
But you're not burning the ELC if he plays. Like,
Yeah.
that's just it. Like this, bring him to camp next year and let him play in the AHL, whether it's for half a season, the whole season, whatever he needs. But
Yeah, I'm with you. on
he's
that.
ready
That's-
he's ready to graduate.
That's
in my
not
opinion.
that's not burning an entry level contract year. That is just natural progression of what he's going to
Maybe
end up going
burning
through.
was the right word.
Yeah,
Using up the I don't know.
I mean,
You
still,
know what I'm
You're,
fucking-
but whenever you pull the plug, you got a 3-year deal regardless.
Yeah.
And my point is,
Yeah.
why wait another year? This team is desperate for centers. Like they,
don't use that desperation the wrong way though, because that is what's happened with Casey Middlestat.
yep. And maybe they'll save it. I mean,
Casey Middlestat was a boy. I mean, at least Cousins has a frame of a man. Like he's 6'3", 200 something pounds. Casey Middlestat barely hit puberty coming out. Like he's
I mean, I get that, and I think that looking at the two players, you saw what he was able to do at Minnesota, and he had stretches of dominance, but he was not start to finish like Cousins is doing in the junior right now. You probably could have sent him back to Minnesota for his sophomore year to develop on other things, strength or, taking on different kinds of roles with those heavy minutes that he would be getting. But unfortunately, you needed a way to sell hope for the next season, and Casey Middlestat was at the end of his first little taste. He got those 6 games, he got 5 points. He was almost a point-a-game player when he showed up. So you're like, okay, this is how we sell it.
well, Andy played in Buffalo and World Juniors, and
Yep.
so there was
Yeah,
that hype
so
behind
it was
him.
just-
So
I think they were trying to accelerate the rebuild so much.
Yeah.
They brought him up way too soon.
Yeah.
That was
And-
a Tim Murray thing, right?
No, that
Or was
one was
that
on
JD?
Botchel because it was his draft pick.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Middlestat's his guy. That was his pick. Nylander was the... God, what an idiot Murray was. I'm not getting started on this. I'm not getting started. Someone else talk.
2 goals the other day.
Someone else talk right now.
Actually, fuck it. Let's get after it. I want to talk about Tim Murray.
God damn it!
I had it at the topics. Well,
Why me?
you're gonna chew me up. I feel like it.
What, are you a stan?
I'm not even advocating for him, I guess. But was he a bad GM?
Yes.
And all right,
Yes.
I want to hear. You don't think he drafted well for one?
No. And I think that's his biggest indictment. For a guy who had a scouting background, you had a dog shit draft record here. Because congratulations, you drafted Sam Reinhart and Jack Eichel, number 2 overall. I should bake you a cake. Oh, wait, no, I'm going to bake you the cake and I'm going to shove it in your stupid face for everything that you did. Maybe even give you a pee-pee slap for everything that you decided to
that.
do here. I hate
loved
this.
I loved
I loved when he did that. He broke my goddamn heart.
I loved a Tim Murray interview, and every time there's a Tim Murray interview, I'm tuning in.
Yes, I did. I was the same way. But first off, your drafting was terrible. You did not understand value of your own prospects. You decided to go ahead and let Rochester barricade and just become the barren wasteland, ruining any sort of draft promise that you had with players like Nicholas Baptiste or Justin Bailey or any of these other players. Yeah, and then you decide, hey, I'm just going to ship off Braden McNabb for Hudson Fashing, who then I'm going to put in Rochester, where, again, they are a burning tire fire and they're not developing anything, so he could stay there.
Is McNabb still playing well for Vegas?
Yeah.
He traded him to LA, though.
Oh, yeah, it was LA.
Yeah.
And then in the expansion draft, McNabb was the pick.
Yeah.
So you go ahead and you leave the place where you could actually develop players and you turn it into a tire fire. So bad that you had 2 O'Reillys quit on you, by the way. Friggin' 2 of them. Everyone remembers Ryan O'Reilly, but nobody remembers when Cal O'Reilly said, I'm going to fuck off from Rochester and go play for the Marlies, and you might as well loan me there because I don't want to be in Rochester right now because that place is miserable. Tim Murray did all of the building of a shit show.
I think he was so focused on rebuilding the team right away.
No, he wasn't. He was trying to win.
He signed Matt Molson to a 6-year deal on a $5 million cap hit.
We all liked that
was
Matt
great.
Molson deal.
The fact that he was willing to come back, he traded him for a first-round pick.
Everyone liked
and then
that
signed
deal.
him in the offseason. I was all about it.
His game was he's a sniper.
He signed Kyle Oposo to a $6 million per season deal.
And was that deal that bad at the time?
He was the number
million?
one. He was the number one point scorer in the free agency.
That was with the free agency class of Louis Erickson,
all right,
David Backus, Andrew Ladd.
He came in having a typical Kyle Oposo season. He's not super flashy. Was having the same point production. Then he had the fucking brain thing going on. He's not been the same player since.
He's not been the same player since, and I do agree with that. That injuries unfortunately cut what could have been a decent player.
He was having a very typical Oposo season.
However, we would still be in the same quagmire, probably contractually with Kyle Oposo, injuries or not, with production with him.
And I don't even hate Oposo
I like
player at this
Oposo.
point.
No, I love the guy as a player, but the thing is that that free agency class was probably the dumbest way to spend your money. Why? It was big, lumbering power forward class. And what did Tim Murray want? He wanted players that could go ahead and throw out some stupid hits on people.
What do you got, Steve?
Go step on a Lego forever, Tim Murray. I fucking hate you.
At least he didn't sign Lucic.
He was looking at. He thought he was a couple parts away from having a winner, and he said fuck all to Rochester because his goal was to build the Sabres into a winning team. But a general manager should be concerned with still being able to develop things for the future, because what happens when your plan doesn't work? But that he went for it. I give him credit because when you trade a first-round pick for a goaltender, it better be a damn good goaltender. I think it was.
It was.
When you sell the farm for Ryan
Notice
O'Reilly,
I did not say anything about Robin Leonard.
Conveniently, you said nothing about Ryan O'Reilly or Robin Leonard because they were both really good players that he thought by injecting into the lineup was going to make this a competitive team for 3 to 5 years.
But
and unfortunately for him, that didn't work out. He said, I don't care about what the team looks like in 6 years. I want to be good for the next 3 to 5.
And that's stupid.
And for whatever reason, it's not stupid if it worked. And I realize it didn't, so we could play this shoulda, woulda, coulda. But this team is starved for a second-line center. They had maybe the best second-line center in the game.
They did.
People want to bitch about goaltending. Robin Leonard was a Vezina candidate last year and is playing outstanding in Chicago this year.
That said, he still had no concept of value.
He had a 9.28 save percentage one year in Buffalo, and they wanted to run him out of town because the team kept losing. Like
in shootouts.
He couldn't make a shootout save.
Right, because that matters. It's just I everything that what is the biggest issue people have Jason Botterill this year?
Not doing a
What did Tim Murray do all the time? Always something. And I was like,
it's the two extremes.
It is. And really I'm not saying that Murray did a good job, because if he did a good job, they'd be successful.
He'd still
but
be
I'm
here.
not going to say that he like ruined this team, because that what happened with him is we have said put Tim Murray on this team right now and go and acquire pieces to make this team make the run. Jack is better. It might work. At the time, they were trying to accelerate what they weren't ready for.
He was in a hard spot. He had to come in here and get bad quick. Get Jack Eichel, and then get good quicker. And he tried. He tried to accelerate the rebuild by confiscating Rochester. That's all he could do. He had nothing else to trade but the prospects.
There was no one at the NHL level with value.
McNabb was a huge loss. McNabb was not a great player in this NHL. He's a big lumbering guy.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Zadorov's a head case. He's not a great defender. He's always gets.
Brendan Lemieux wouldn't sign here.
Brendan Lemieux
refused to sign in Buffalo.
I don't even like him as a player. He's just a goon.
So you lost Comfer, Tyler Myers,
And I think the biggest loss of the whole thing is Baby Confer, who is so far nothing special. He's a third line center.
But this is always going to be my biggest problem with Tim Murray. He never replenished it. For again being a
he didn't
scout
have time to replenish it.
No, he had time to replenish it. He's made outside of the number 2 overall picks. Let's see, Johansson, who I don't think is an NHL goaltender. He has made the NHL. Congratulations, Victor Olofsson, Will Borgen, and maybe Jacob Bryson. Those are the only players in his entire years of drafting that included another first-round pick in Alex Nylander, who is absolute ass. For a guy who had a scouting background to draft as terribly as he did, again, step on Legos forever. I hate you, Tim Murray.
All right.
You broke my heart.
I just want to say, though, in hindsight, he brought in a Conn Smythe winner, brought in a Vezina finalist, brought in Evander Kane, who was not a bad player on the ice. He left because they couldn't keep him salary-wise. I don't
because
think
they were terrible.
I don't think he was.
Couldn't rebuild anything. Or
I don't think he was worth
anything.
the money. He's having a great season again in San Jose. I think he came in here and brought in the right players. I don't think Bilesman was the right hire.
He wanted the other Neanderthal, Babcock.
But Bilesman got a lot out of the team. I think he's had the most points. I think.
Yeah, they haven't had as many points.
Then Halsey came in with them was the
You
same
traded
roster.
a second rounder for Josh Georges.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone remember that?
I don't think he was as bad as everyone says. I don't care that he depleted Rochester.
His approach, in hindsight, his approach was wrong because they clearly weren't ready.
Yeah.
But as far as his approach, like for me, I'm like, he took a shot. He might have not. The shot didn't go in, but he took a shot. And now this year, everybody's pissed because Botterill won't take a shot.
This is a comparison of the Zach Cassian suspension for me. He tried to do something different, kick someone in the chest, and he didn't get in as much trouble because the guy didn't get injured. Tim Murray tried something different, but I guess I can forgive him for doing something different instead of doing nothing.
You're a yeller.
He's mad.
Call you a young yeller. Not an old yeller. You're a young yeller.
Fucking hate Tim Murray.
Step on a Lego. Yeah, you forgot that.
Every day. Every day.
I don't hate him. I'm not even disappointed he's not here anymore. It's not like, oh man, I wish they would have kept him around. He probably deserved to go because he took a shot and it didn't work.
Apparently there was some kind of really strange dynamic around that team with Bilesman and Murray. Some weird disconnect. I've heard a lot of weird stories.
And the other,
I've heard a lot of
the other part too, though. Sorry, Justin, was that like Enroth leaves and goes to Dallas and immediately starts talking into a microphone about how the Sabres' goal was always last place and everyone knew it.
Well, everyone knew it.
I know, but that is got to be that's a killer for the locker room. Nobody
They
wants to
started
show
the draft lottery after that.
Correct.
Because
they had Connor McDavid play a game in Buffalo during the season,
and then had a speech at center ice. Like,
Yes.
Erie Otters.
Like it was an embarrassment.
It was that was maybe not the best time for the Sabres locker room by any stretch.
And like
but-
everything that Murray did, it was aggressive. It was possibly over. Like it was just too much.
Yeah.
So congrats for doing something different.
But I do
You're
think
still an idiot.
I do think he was instructed to rebuild quickly, at the instruction of the owner, who probably learned from that. That was a bad idea.
Because Darcy Regier, this was originally Darcy Regier's plan. Let's not forget that.
suffering.
Those were his words, not Tim Murray's.
Yeah, for sure.
So everyone forgets that Darcy Regier's idea was Tim Murray's idea. And who did the Sabres have to battle in the tank for the McEichel? Arizona. Who was the assistant general manager in Arizona? Darcy Regier.
So beautiful.
Poetic.
But yeah, there's some weird going on. About like I've heard this. My buddy went to Nichols, and I think Bilesman's kid played for Nichols. I've heard a bunch of weird stories about Bilesman and the way he interacted with even his own kid.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weird shit going on with that team with Murray and Bilesman.
And Murray also managed to piss off LaFontaine. I mean, I'd have to imagine that's what that was.
I think Murray didn't. I think LaFontaine didn't want to like totally scrap everything.
He didn't want to scrap everything to the bone, and Murray was like, "This is the only way." And LaFontaine probably just was like, "All right, I'm gonna go fuck off."
I think Murray went. I think Murray went and pulled the trigger on the Miller trade when LaFontaine was against it, and that was the final straw.
Yeah.
LaFontaine left right after that.
Right after that trade, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you see the power struggle with him and Dan Bilesma, where both of them then end up getting fired. It just Tim Murray was a dick.
Nothing better than a picture.
Buffalo selects Jack Eichel.
There's nothing better than a picture of him and Doug Whaley at a Studio 66, though, just having a few beers. I would love to be a fly on a wall for that
I would have
conversation.
just been
And
just
the
a
thing,
patron at the bar.
here's the other thing, Justin, that makes Derek look better than us is Murray has not been hired since.
What is he even doing now?
Going to games with his family in Winnipeg, wearing jerseys, because like
Is he scouting anywhere?
I don't think so. There was a picture of him and his family attending a Winnipeg Jets game,
I
like
think
as fans.
Part of that though might just be dogma
Can
against.
you Google him, Mike? Or have you already?
I'm looking at his history of trades.
Oh boy!
But
I think-
You're gonna give Derek PTSD.
I think part of why Murray doesn't have a job though is the dogma of tanking, and he was so openly doing it.
He's instructed to.
He, instructed or not, I still think
And
that
look what it did. He got
it was
the
his. It was still also his
the best
like,
American-born player of all time.
He also thought it was the
Mike
best.
Modano?
He also thought it was the best course of action. The thing was that he was so open and aggressively in the media about it. He didn't say, "Yeah, we're tanking," but he basically.
Remember
said it.
trading
They
all the goalies?
They hosted
Michael Tellquist.
They hosted an OHL
Daryl Halak.
hockey game for Connor McDavid to be in Buffalo.
So Tim Murray has the shortest tenure of any permanent GM in Sabres history, with less than 4 seasons. His last entry listed is 2014 to 2017 as GM for the Buffalo Sabres. So he is not doing anything right now.
He doesn't do anything at all?
I'm not kidding. The last picture you saw of him was him attending a Winnipeg Jets hockey game with his family wearing jerseys as fans. I'm not kidding.
Damn. Interesting.
Good.
Not a good,
Frig off.
not a good media guy. Obviously, you don't want to put him on a microphone because he'll say whatever he wants. Remember when they didn't win the lottery and how openly mad at what he about it he was?
Oh, the system. He was so mad that they didn't get first overall.
Yeah, and he was, and it was kind of like a thing like
Yeah.
you're not
Frig
happy.
off.
Yeah, it was weird.
I hate you, Tim.
Oh well, yeah, he had his pros and cons.
Yeah, I don't
Obviously.
feel like having to take a Xanax tonight. Don't say any more about the trade history.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of these, and some of these names are names I didn't even realize came here.
All right, what's next on the list?
Yeah,
boys?
can we change our gears over to the Bandits? So we'll plug again. Check out our pin tweet 716 Sport Podcast to see our video session with Corey Small. It was awesome. We appreciate the ones we did with Chase Fraser and with Josh Byrne too, but this one was all kinds of epic. Corey Small and I played a game of Pig. There was danger involved. I don't know. So check that out. But the Bandits, they head into the game Saturday night against Philadelphia Wings, facing their former backup goaltender Zach Higgins, who was leading the NLL with an .825 save percentage. Which for anyone that would know anything about indoor lacrosse, that is absurdity. Generally 800 is pretty solid, and he came in with an .825 and played just as well as you might expect. But the Bandits were without Dane Smith and Chase Fraser. Nick Weiss still on IR from the week before. Brent Noseworthy was scratched. Might have been dinged up a little bit, not enough to move to IR. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but the right side was depleted without Dane and Chase, and you could tell the offense was kind of grasping at straws to try to get anything going. They were stuck at 3 goals for most of the game. At one point, it was like 6-3, and Corey Small did end up putting in a fourth quarter hat trick, the podcast Karma, and tried his best to bring Buffalo back into the game, and Buffalo pulled the goaltender. 2.5 minutes to go or so. Josh Byrne did score to make it 7-6. Unfortunately, that was the final. People are still all kinds of mad about that loss. And of course, by people, there's a select few on the social medias who are all kinds of mad. You take out a former MVP in Dane Smith and your other best right side player in the same game, and you're surprised that their offense struggled. Their defense played phenomenal. Matt Vince spun on his head. And I saw a fan complaining about the coaching job that Steve Dietrich is doing. Steve Dietrich is the defensive coach. They gave up 7 goals on 54 shots or something.
They gave up 7 goals? What are they complaining about?
I don't know. But they were upset with... I saw someone on Facebook complaining about the job that...
Seriously, when you give up on average about 10 goals per game, why are you complaining about giving up 7?
Right. I mean, in general, it's keep them under 10 and score over 10 yourself, or score 12 and you'll win. That's hopefully your plan. So now the Bandits have a much-needed bye week. It's funny because as much as they had all the bye weeks in the beginning of the season and nobody was happy with them playing December 7th and then not again until December 28th or 29th. It was a long layoff to start the season. They could use this one because without disclosing, some of these injuries are minor or getting better, and they should be healthy again by the 29th of this month when they play again. They will host the Halifax Thunderbirds, the first place Halifax Thunderbirds, who also lost on Saturday. At one point, they were trailing like 12-3, Halifax, with 3 minutes to go in the third. That game went to overtime at 15-15. Mark Matthews scored in overtime for the Rush, so every Bandits fan needs to thank the Rush and Mark Matthews for that, because on a night where Buffalo lost, Halifax also lost. It would have been great for Buffalo to win and gain that ground, but now it's a rematch. The last time, Justin, when we called the outdoor game for the Buttes, the Bandits played Halifax, unfortunately without Steve Priolo, and gave up 9 straight goals and lost pretty handedly at the hands of the Thunderbirds. So they'll be looking for some revenge from that game. So that's in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, the 29th of February, leap year day. I believe I have that date right. Is that right?
Leap day.
Leap day, is that right? Is that the last day of the month?
29th,
Saturday
yes.
the 29th. Yep. So they'll host Halifax. So there is that. Changing gears again. Justin, we're back on the call. So we talk about long layoffs and bye weeks. The Buttes have not had a home game in a month.
Over a month.
Over a month, yeah. So we ran the gauntlet, right? So the beginning of the year, there was a home game and then like 2 weeks away and then a home game and then a couple weeks away. And then it was like, bam, 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 bam. We had 4 straight weeks, right? Something like that?
Yeah. 3.
3 straight weeks.
Oh, hey, Eric Cernak hurt someone again.
Imagine that.
Mikko Rantanen.
Oh, no.
That's my fantasy team. Devalues my fantasy hockey.
I only know daily, not season long.
Anyways,
Sorry.
Buffalo Buttes back in action this weekend.
Hosting Minnesota Whitecaps Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, teddy bear toss. So if you guys haven't seen this done before, Saturday's game is at 2:30. A strange start time, Justin. Usually it's like 1 o'clock or 7 o'clock. 2:30.
Well, I can't do 7 o'clock because UB's playing that night at 5:30.
So you're just going to live at the rink that day?
No, we still haven't gotten the encoder fix.
Well, then you can come hang out with us for the Buttes game.
Insider info.
So teddy bear toss, the 22nd. So they're asking for new or gently used teddy bears. They will support the organization called Western New York Heroes, which is veterans and currently deployed military families in Western New York. So bring your new or gently used teddy bears to throw on the ice for the teddy bear toss. And then the 23rd, hockey fights cancer. Afternoon game at 1 o'clock against Minnesota as well. And so Justin and I will have the calls on Twitch. You can go to Northtown Center to take in those games live. Get your tickets at nwhl.zone/tickets. The weekend that was, so the Buttes went out to New Jersey to play the Metropolitan Riveters. And Saturday in a barn burner, the game found itself tied at 5 and went to the shootout. Taylor Kersey scored an absolutely filthy backhand goal. She kind of chipped the goalie. It wasn't even a shot. It kind of was like the Kucherov. It was a shot attempt, but it wasn't a shot at the net. It was kind of just a, let me tip this right here between your pads, and it went in, and that was a great goal. Anna Orzakowski scored in the shootout. That ended up being the shootout winner. But Tiffany Sue earning her first NWHL win. So that was super exciting to, that's going to be Derek when the Sabres trade for Sam Bennett. The video of a guy just getting hit in the nads time
Why
and time
are we
again.
watching this,
I don't
Justin?
know. This is Justin controlling Twitter while we talk.
That was relevant. given-
Now there's 3 guys.
You might just
I'm at a loss.
retweet the video right now just so that everyone can have a context of what the fuck is going. Why is there a log? Someone just launched a battering ram at the ball sack of some guy. The fuck? Oh my god. Why do I say things?
And shake on it. One more T. It's yeah. Perfect.
God damn it.
All right, as you were saying. Sorry.
Yeah. So the Buttes
There's the battering ram.
they
right
earned
there.
the shootout. Oh my gosh. They earned the shootout win 6-5. Tiffany Sue's first win. They go back at it on Sunday. The Rivs did come out on top of that game, which is important for the standings because the Rivs could have locked themselves into third place if they would have swept the weekend. Now, it's not likely that the Buttes will find themselves in third place, but that's still a possibility. So yeah, there's that. 2 home games this weekend. The last 2 home games of the regular season, although it does appear that the Buttes may host Connecticut in a playoff game at home coming up here once the season wraps up. But the 22nd and 23rd, this upcoming weekend, Northtown Center. 22nd is at 2:30. That's the teddy bear toss. And then at the 23rd at 1 o'clock is Hockey Fights Cancer Day with the Buttes and Whitecaps at Northtown Center. So that's all I've got for Around the Horn with the Bandits and the Buttes. Anything else of importance?
Have you guys ever seen the teddy bear toss happen?
So interestingly enough,
it's a great.
I think the first time that it happened was with the Stockton Heat.
Yes,
and my buddy was the broadcaster for them at the time, so that was super cool.
It was hilarious.
And the first time that he talked about it, I'm like, "What is this?" And then it's now become a thing. It's been adopted into lacrosse as well.
A giant bear just happens to always make its way out there.
Yeah,
and I'm just waiting for that video.
So if you're like my wife and I, here's a little peek behind the curtain. We have a 3-year-old. With more stuffed animals than we ever will need in our life. But my sister, for Christmas last year on our recommendation, bought us a beanbag chair, except it's empty. And what you're supposed to do with it is put stuffed animals in there, zip it up, and then it's like a seat. And my daughter just got privy about 2 weeks ago, like, are my stuffed animals in there? And we're like, yeah. She's like, can I open it? We're like, nope, not happening. So at some point before Saturday, while she doesn't know it, my wife is going to open up that beanbag, and we have new stuffed animals that have tags on them still. So I will be bringing a plethora of stuffed animals to be thrown onto the ice, and I will be arming the citizens that don't have them on Saturday to throw. So Teddy Bear Toss should be awesome, and especially benefiting the Western New York Heroes. Great organization, right? Local to help families of veterans and currently deployed. So kids that have, parents who are deployed or maybe lost a mom or dad to their service, they'll be getting those teddy bears. So that's an awesome cause. So that's exciting. Stockton also did the painting the ice.
Yes.
The underneath. That was super cool too. Stockton was pretty
I love minor league teams. They come up with some of the greatest ideas sometimes.
Innovative and progressive ideas. Pretty cool.
I can't wait for minor league baseball this year with the stupidity that is the Houston Astros. Every Astros affiliate that comes into a minor league ballpark this year, I want trash can night. Come on. Tell me that's not going to happen. I will bet you $4 that that's going to happen at least 12 times.
So Astro fans
in minor league baseball.
So Astro fans are already talking about boycotting Buffalo Wild Wings over their tweet over the weekend about Manchester City's.
They said that's how you punish a team that cheats.
So Astro fans were already upset about that. So do you think they boycott Lowe's and Home Depot for selling trash cans?
I mean, that's a good point.
Oh my God, this is good. Like,
I went to another minor league game
Houston
there.
Triggered.
I went to West Virginia Power game in Charleston, West Virginia.
That's beautiful.
It's the AA affiliate or the single A affiliate of the Pittsburgh Pirates. They played the Fireflies that night, which ended up being Tim Tebow's team. He was not playing. This was before Tim Tebow.
Yep.
But there is a man who is infamous. You can literally Google him. He's like the Toast Man. And he brings a toaster around his neck, and he somehow has a battery pack to power it. And on every strikeout,
he makes toast.
He hands out toast.
That is awesome.
And our kids, we brought kids from the youth group, high school age kids. They all went over to see the Toast Man and get some toast after every strikeout.
I love minor league baseball.
And of course, he says, as they walk back to the dugout, "You're toast."
Booyah.
Yep. So the Toast Man.
I'm waiting.
Shout out to the West Virginia Power.
I'm waiting for the brilliance of minor league baseball promotions to just rip the Houston Astros a new one. And this is just going to be because Rob Manfred over the weekend just making things so much worse.
Yeah, if anybody throws at the Astros batters, there will be punishments.
Which means, by the way, that means again that the pitcher who plunks a Houston Astro will have served more suspension than a Houston
If he is
Astro.
ejected from the game, he will have served a longer suspension than any of the Astros.
And it's laughable to even have to say that out loud. It's stupid. I'm a casual baseball fan. I'm not a huge baseball fan. I think 162 games to follow is a chore, but following this saga and how laughably stupid it has become after how vile it was to be blatantly cheating for succeeding in getting a World Series. You think about how much we all hate the Patriots and everything like that. And then you see this happen, and now just to see them all tripping over themselves.
Do you think Patriots fans think, oh, thank God, we're finally not alone in this?
No, because they don't think anyone's done anything wrong to begin with.
Patriots fans probably hate the Astros like we do and have no self-awareness.
Yeah, that sounds right. Because they still don't think that any of these allegations are
like they weren't caught videotaping the Cincinnati Bengals.
Right. Oh, every team does it right. Yeah, that's right. Anyways, digression. What do you think? We put a wrap on it?
Let's put a bow on it.
Put a bow on it. So you can find us on all of our social media platforms. Facebook is 716 Sports Podcast. Instagram, same thing, 716 Sports Podcast. Twitter, 716 Sport Podcast, thanks to Character Limits. So find us, check out our content. We're trying to crank out some really cool stuff with the Bandits and the Buttes. We're grateful for working with them. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are sold. In this case, they're sold for free. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It shows up on YouTube, Podbean, you name it. You can find our podcast wherever you would look. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next week.